Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome back to Loving Everything. This is episode 70. Why do we fall in love? We've come a long way since episode 1. If you have been here with me since the beginning, thank you. And if you just found me recently, or if you're finding me today, thank you so much for joining me here. Beginning with episode 50, I committed to doing a solo episode every decade on the topic of love and what I have personally learned from it since producing this podcast series over 3 years ago. A lot has happened since then. I was originally scheduled to record this episode on Valentine's Day in 2026. But I ended up with a migraine and I rested for most of the day. So I rescheduled the recording for today, February 21st. And incidentally, it makes so much sense for reasons I wouldn't have seen coming until this afternoon. For those of you who have been here for a while, you know my divorce has been unfolding in the background of my life since September of 2021. Well, today my attorney notified me that my appellate case with my ex-husband is finally coming to a settlement. After all this time, it's closing. For the first time in years, I actually feel single. Not technically single, not legally single, but emotionally free. And yes, it happens to land during some pretty significant astrology this week, which feels pretty poetic. But honestly, it just feels right on time. There's a part of me that keeps saying, finally, because it took so much longer than I ever imagined it would, longer than I had wanted it to, and longer than felt fair. But it's no longer my story to carry. Thankfully. I get to change that. I lost my way. Okay. And hilariously, I say, I get to turn the page. I get to create something new. And I am deeply, genuinely relieved. You and I, we are celebrating. I bet you didn't know that's what you were signing up for when you clicked on this video, did you? I want to start with one of my favorite poems about love. It hangs in my bedroom. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky. I picked this topic because it scares me, but in a good way. And I made a promise to myself this year that I would lean into the things that scare me. So here we are. So why do we fall in love? We fall in love because we are wired to bond. That's the simplest answer. Not for the postcard, not for the fireworks, not even for the promise. We fall in love because something in us recognizes home. Someone feels familiar in a way we can't explain. We fall in love because we are seen. Because someone listens. Because for a moment, we don't have to hide. But here's the part that no one tells you. We don't just fall in love with a person. We fall in love with a version of ourselves they awaken. Love is a mirror. And when someone reflects back our goodness, our depth, our light, we feel expanded. Attachment theory calls falling in love evolutionary design. From cradle to grave, we are looking for a secure base, a place where our nervous system can exhale, a place where we can be fully ourselves without bracing. When we are together, we feel soothed. When we are apart, we feel the ache. That ache is not weakness. It is biology. So let's talk about what falling in love actually does to you. When you fall for someone, your brain doesn't ask for permission. It floods your system, dopamine rises, the reward chemical that makes drugs addictive. One person becomes the most compelling individual in your world. Oxytocin increases. Their touch feels safe. Their presence feels like home. Your serotonin shifts, which is why you can't stop thinking about them. It's why they live in your mind rent-free. Your senses reorganize around them. Your eyes scan rooms. Your ears replay their voice. Your skin remembers their touch. Even your heart rhythms can synchronize. Love is not just romance. It is a chemical takeover. And that's why heartbreak hurts like a physical injury. Your brain processes rejection through the same neural pathways as it does pain. Love is the only drug you don't take. It takes you. But intensity is not intimacy, and chemistry is not compatibility, which is why falling in love is easy, and staying in love is the real work. So what is the difference between falling and staying? Falling in love is unconscious. Staying in love is being conscious. Falling is biology. Staying is skill. Falling is magnetism. Staying is maintenance. Falling feels like fate. Staying requires character. Research shows us something simple and profound. The way a difficult conversation begins predicts the future of the relationship. Startup matters. Tone matters. Gentleness matters. Happy couples are not conflict-free. They repair. They maintain roughly 5 positive interactions for every negative one during a conflict. 5-1, affection, humor, interest, touch, curiosity, not perfection, repair. No matter where the conversation begins, healthy couples drift back towards safety. And what allows that drift? Physiological calm, trust, commitment. Commitment is not just a feeling. It is a decision made repeatedly in moments of disappointment. And that is what staying feels like. Love is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to repair. So what is love actually? Real love is not possession. It is not obsession. It is not dependency disguised as devotion. Real love is seeing clearly. It does not imprison. It frees. It does not bind. It allows. Love is structure, discipline, a vow, a way of carrying another soul without losing the balance of your own. Love is reciprocity. One-sided love is not love. It is longing, wearing a borrowed name. Love is consistency. It moves the same on Tuesday that it did on Sunday. Love is accountability. Repair without pride. Apology without defensiveness. Love is peace, not chaos. And if the love keeps cutting you deeper than it comforts you, that isn't your medicine. That's your poison. Love is two people whole, choosing each other, not half-built souls clinging to survive. And loving someone should never require you to betray yourself. And when you understand that, heartbreak changes. The way you process heartbreak says more about your own growth than how fast you move on. Being heartbroken does not mean you failed. It shows how deeply you loved. It means something mattered to you. You can be devastated without shrinking to keep the peace. You can miss someone without renegotiating your worth. And heartbreak becomes initiation when you ask, what did this reveal to me? You could say my life has been framed by heartbreak. You could say I have endured more than most have. But what heartbreak taught me more than anything is how deeply capable I am of love. My heart has always been open, compassionate, forgiving, generous, sensitive. That has been a gift. And sometimes that gift asked for protection I didn't receive growing up and didn't yet know how to provide for myself. But I have no regrets. I have always given my best in relationships. And I recognize now how strong that makes me. What I didn't understand at the time, being last picked, eating lunch alone, being bullied, not being chosen, was that it was teaching me how to choose myself. Every man who didn't choose me was teaching me to love myself deeper than I loved him. It took me years to learn that, but I'm getting it now. The romantic culture tells us that if it's right, it will be effortless. They will magically understand you. And any conflict means incompatibility. And that is a fantasy. Real love is built in the ordinary. Putting the butter away. Laundry. Money. Schedules. Tuesday evenings. And we fall in love with the extraordinary. And we stay in love with the ordinary. So maybe we don't fall in love because it promises forever. Maybe we fall in love because it teaches us how to live fully while we are here. Love begins in recognition. It deepens in commitment. It matures in ordinary presence. We fall in love because we long to belong without disappearing. Because someone makes us feel peaceful instead of anxious. Because we are seen through kind eyes. We stay in love when we learn how to stay. And maybe the deepest truth of all, love is not something you find. It is something you become. In the end, it won't be the success. It won't be the things you collected. It will be the love that you gave. The love you practiced. The love you became. We fall in love by chance. We stay by choice. And if you are brave enough to stay open, even when it scares you, you will never have loved in vain. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.